Today we're going to be doing a couple problems where we're going to change an equation to graphing format, which is right here. And then your vertex is going to be indicated by that HK value. Remember, the H value is going to be what the opposite of here because there's a minus sign there. A couple other things to remember. The leading coefficient of your x squared term is your A value, and then the leading coefficient of the x term is your B value, and then C would be your constant. And you're going to need to remember b divided by 2 squared in order to complete the square. All right, and the vertex represents this minimum down here of your parabola. All right, so in order to complete the square, we're going to need to add 10 to both sides of this equation. So I'm going to get y plus 10 is equal to x squared minus 8x. So the leading coefficient needs to be a 1. In this case, the leading coefficient is a 1, so I can complete the square. So next thing I'm going to do is find a new C value to put there. And I do that by using the b divided by 2 squared. So our b value is -8. -8 divided by 2 is -4, and when I square it, I'm going to get 16. So I'll get x squared minus 8x plus 16 on this side. And then on this side, I'm going to get y plus 10. And because I added 16 to this side, I also have to add it to this side. So if I clean things up on the left, I'm going to get y plus 16, or plus 26, is equal to some perfect square. So when you did b divided by 2, you already figured out what goes here. So -8 divided by 2 is -4, so that's what goes here. Squared. So there's your perfect square, and that's the whole point of completing the square. Last thing to do is just to clean things up and subtract 26 from both sides so I can get y by itself. So y will be equal to x minus 4 squared minus 26. And now I'm in graphing format, and then the vertex, or the locator point, is just going to be 4 minus 26. All right, let's try one where the leading coefficient is not 1. So remember, this y, it could be an f of x or a g of x. It doesn't matter. It's just a format thing. So be used to doing both. So I'm going to take and I'm going to add 13 to both sides to get a new c value. So y plus 13 is going to be equal to minus 5x squared minus 10x. And then turns out that's not a 1, so I need to deal with that. So I'm going to factor out this -5, and I'm going to change the leading coefficient of the new trinomial into a 1 here. So that's plus 2x. So let's see if I factored that correctly. -5 times x squared is minus 5x squared. Minus 5 then times 2x is -10x. So it looks like that's right. Okay, so new c value, -5 times x squared plus 2x. If I do b divided by 2, I'll have 2 divided by 2, which is 1, and when I square it, I'll get plus 1. But really what I'm doing when I add that 1 is I'm taking -5 times that 1, so there's a total of -5 getting added to this right-hand side. So what I have to do on the left side is do y plus 13 minus 5. So that matches the -5 on both sides. So I got to clean things up. I'll get y plus 8 is equal to -5 times a perfect square. So it's going to be b divided by 2 was 1. So that's what goes here, squared. And then the last thing I need to do is subtract 8 from both sides. So I'll get y is equal to -5 times x plus 1 squared minus 8. And then my vertex is just going to be the HK value. So I'll have -1, -8. Hopefully that helps you out with your homework.